Hey, what's up everybody? It's JayDreamerZ. Why am I wearing this shirt? What does it have to do with the 10 Commandments? And how are the 10 Commandments related to quote-unquote alien beings named Enki and Enlil? And how much do we really know about these 10 Commandments anyways? I mean, go ahead, take about 10 seconds and try to think of as many of the 10 Commandments as you can in your head. Not getting too far, are we? Many of us, don't feel bad, many of us can't just recite all 10 of the commandments. Most people get to, you shall not kill, you shall not lie, and that's about it, too. Don't feel bad. If you got more, odds are you could not think or recite all 10 of these 10 commandments. We're going to go over them in detail a little bit later because people don't actually know, even people who can recite all 10 of them, do not know what they really mean in the original Phoenician or Paleo-Hebrew writing. I want to point something out with the 10 Commandments. And what does it have to do with Star Wars, or a war between the stars, or the beings who are supposedly from the stars? I'll tell you right now. If you look at this picture from the iconic movie The 10 Commandments starring Charlton Heston, you can see in plain view a shorthand version of the 10 Commandments written in this strange pictograph text. This is actually called Phoenician or Paleo-Hebrew or Ancient Hebrew. Now, the one thing I want you to focus on is the tablet over here off to the right, the one that's more lit up. Now, at the very top of this tablet, I know you guys can't read this, but I will translate loosely as best as I can for you. Look at these first 4 letters up here. Now, I'm going to read to you what the actual beginning of the 10 Commandments says. It says, I am the Lord your God. Now, that's how it's been translated, of course, and it's completely messed up. But if you look at this, now remember, it reads from right to left, and it says, okay, this first letter off to the right on the top, that looks like the letter A, is pretty much the letter A. So it says A, and then this next letter going from right to left is an in, an, and then this letter that looks like a peace symbol upside down, that's a K, and then this next letter that looks like a backwards F, that's an I. A-N-K-I. Now, the A is completely interchangeable with many other vowels, especially E. E-N-K-I. The name at the top, at the very beginning of this tablet, at the very beginning of these 10 Commandments, the name is Enki. Enki. Who is Enki? Now, some Hebrews and Jewish scholars would tell you, oh, it's not pronounced Enki. We don't want to pronounce it that way. It's actually pronounced Anoki. And they say that the word Anoki means I am. However, that's completely wrong and absolutely not true, because in Hebrew to say I is Ani, as in Anakin. Anakin Skywalker. Anakin Skywalker, right? The one that walks in the sky. Ani means I or I am. And then Ken means happy. I am happy, right? Or I am happy walking in the sky, if you're Anakin Skywalker. But I digress. Let's get back to the point. Now, Enki, if you don't know, is an ancient Sumerian / Phoenician / Babylonian / so many other things god, one of the so-called Anunnaki. And it's important to understand this as well. Now, here's a picture of the Anunnaki. Now, the being who is second from the right, with the pointy hat with the spikes coming out of it and the water pouring out of his shoulders, holding the bird on fire, this is Enki. Now, I want to point out a couple things in this picture before we move on. First of all, look at the animals in this picture. Do you see the cow under Enki's foot? Or the lion off to the left over there? These are giants. These beings are gigantic. Another thing, if you look in the middle, and this is off topic, but it's very interesting to me, look at that being who's inside of this tree trunk looking thing, and he's holding a giant knife. And he's at eye level with this sort of plateau or this mesa that has like a branch growing out of it off on the left. Now, if you're into the no force on flat earth thing, we could go off on a serious tangent right now, but we won't. Let's focus on Enki, the guy with the water pouring out of his shoulders and the fish swimming in the water. Now, Enki was also known as Yah, or the letters E and A, Yah, right? Now, Yah in ancient Phoenician literally meant the house of water, right? Or some things were to be implied, from the house of water. These are giants. These are the Anunnaki. These are the ancient gods. These are the ones whom all the god stories across all cultures and myths and legends stem from. Now, real quick, I'm going to point off to the right. You'll notice, I realize you can't see my mouse moving, but the person to Enki's right has two faces, right? Why does he have two faces? He's the only one in this picture that has two faces. And the two-faced god in Roman mythology is Janus. Now remember, we have made our language a cowboy language. Janus is a cowboy way of saying the actual name of this god. I think that this is Enki's brother, and his name is Enlil, or Yah, which means from the house of water, right? Yah, Anu, which means the heavens. So house of water from the heavens. And then you have the Latin suffix us. Yah, Anu, us. Yah, Anu, us. Now Yah became spoken as Jah over dialect and time. So Jah, Anu, us. Janus, right? So this is Janus, or Enlil, who is the sworn enemy of his brother Enki. Enki wrote the 10 Commandments. He started off by letting everyone know that he was the author. Enki. Now, the second line under the name Enki, I'll read it for you guys, but it says Yahweh, or YHWH, which means I am. Enki, I am, right? And then it says Elohim, or Elohim. So he says Enki, I am, of, which is implied, the Elohim, or the gods, or the mighty ones, or the lords, however you want to say it. But that's literally what this first two sentences, these first two lines on the tablet to the right says. First line, Enki. Second line, I am of the Elohim. Enki, I am of the Elohim. Now, how interesting is that? I wanted to sort of point out why this is important, because many people don't know who the God or the main God of the Bible is, or the main Lord, or the main deity, or entity, or alien, or whatever you'd like to call it. They don't know who it is. That name has been lost, and we will talk about that in a minute. Enki was known as the god from the house of water, or the god who represented the house of water. Now, his symbol was a fish or a goat. A fish because he is the god of the water, or the god from the waters, or the god from the covering of water, the house of water. and a goat, because as you can see back in this picture, had these horns that came out of the hats or came out of their heads. But these horns came out of their hats, and however many horns they had depicted their rank in their society. Enki is the fish god, the goat god, or the ram god, or the god who is part fish, part goat. So we see a lot of symbolism in the world today where certain organizations worship the goat, or certain organizations worship the fish or use the fish symbol to represent their god. And then sometimes we have the amalgamation of both fish and goat. Some ancient pagan peoples used to worship a god named Dagon or Dogon. Dagon was the fish god. Literally means one of the fish people. Okay? People who live in the waters or are from the waters or who have crossed over the water barrier or the water boundary. And just a side note, I am sort of strongly implying something here, which is that there may be waters above us that separate us from another realm completely. There also may be waters beneath us that separate another realm from us completely. And what would happen if we were to pass through those watery boundaries? Or what if other beings passed through those watery boundaries and came to us? Anyway, so let's move forward with the 10 Commandments. Now, I'm not a big fan of the shout nots and all that King James type talk, Shakespearean language.
So, basically, it goes like this. You will have no other gods but me. You will not make any idols. You will not take my name in vain. Remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Honor your father and your mother. Don't kill. Don't commit adultery. Don't steal. Don't lie. And don't covet.
So let's break these down, because even though I just literally read them to you, you still will not understand what it meant in the original Phoenician language. I'm going to get right to the point of it. Like I said in the beginning of the video, the first commandment,
I am the Lord thy God, thou shalt have no other gods before me.
First of all, it doesn't say, I am the Lord thy God in the original. Like I pointed out on those tablets, it says, Enki, I am, or I am Enki, of the Elohim. Then it goes on to say, literally, you shall have no other gods who are against my face, or who are against me. Let me translate that. You can have other gods, but don't be on the wrong team. Don't side with gods who are against me. Be on my team. That is the first commandment. Now, interestingly enough, the word for my face, like I said, you shall have no other gods who are against my face. The word face in Hebrew is the word pan. Interesting, right? So it literally says, who are against Pan. I find that to be very interesting. So you have Enki at the beginning of the first commandment, and then it ends with the word Pan. And the commandment is not to follow those who are against Pan. It says, I am Enki of the Anunnaki, and you will not follow those who are against Pan. That's literally what it says. All right, so let's move on to the quote-unquote second commandment.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image.
What the hell does that mean in our language today? So let me actually read what it really says to you from the New King James Version of the Bible, it says,
"You shall not make for yourself a carved image in any likeness of anything that's in heaven, or in the earth, or in the water under the earth."
interesting how it says that. That is in the water under the earth. So you're not allowed to make an image of anything in the water under the earth, right? Goes on to say, you shall not bow down to them nor serve them. Now that's all one sentence. It's not saying you can't draw a painting or make a statue or what have you. It's saying don't draw a painting or make a statue and worship it. It's saying do not bow down to your own creations. And that is important. That is a rule amongst the Anunnaki. Never bow down to your own creation. Do not worship the thing that you have created. Third commandment.
Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain.
Let's really break this one down. God is not a name, okay? The Lord is not a name. These are titles. The word God in the Bible is actually literally spelled in Hebrew, in the original language, in Phoenician, G-A-D. We would say Gad because we talk like cowboys, but it's actually pronounced God. And G-A-D, God, means fortune, because their deity would bring good fortune their way or bad fortune their way. Their lives were in the hands of fortune. So they referred to that being as their fortune. Just like in other cultures on the other end of the world, the Nordics, they worshipped their god Loki, or one of their gods, Loki. Now sometimes Loki was good and sometimes Loki was bad. They had with them good Loki or bad Loki. Good luck or bad luck. Good luck, bad luck. God is fortune. That's all that word means. Those are not names. So if you say, God damn it, that is not taking the name of God in vain. But it's literally the writing on the wall that was made into a tablet. The name of the God of the Bible is Enki. Says it right there. We made a movie about it and put his name at the very top. It's Enki. Now, we took the next word in the first commandment, which is YHWH, or Yahweh, or Yahweh. People took the name Enki and they switched it out with the name Yahweh, or Yahweh. However you want to pronounce it, it doesn't matter. Okay? YHWH, YHWH, Yod He Vav He, however you want to pronounce it, okay? Either way, that is a word, which means I am, okay? They erased Enki, and they replaced it with the word I am, okay? The name of their god is Enki. They replaced it with I am. Then I am actually was replaced, and I'll give you some history. A long time ago, the Israelites were taken hostage by the Babylonians. The Babylonians were the captors. They were the masters over the Hebrews. That means that their God must be bigger and stronger than the Hebrew God. So they were very quick to insult Yahweh, the God of the Hebrews, or Enki, the God of the Hebrews. What they would do is they would make fun of the name of their God, which was Yahweh, or Yah for short. Remember? E-A, Yah, right? So they went around, according to ancient lore and legend, they went around calling the Hebrews, or the Judeans, or the Yahudians, they called them Yahoos. That's where we get the word Yahoo from. Yahoo means crazy person, right? A nutcase. You're a Yahoo. You're some crazy weirdo. You know what I mean? You're eccentric, just like the Jews were becoming at the time. Very eccentric. So anyways, the Jewish people saw that the name of their God was being insulted. And they took that personally and made their own law basically outlawing saying the name of their God. Nobody was allowed to say it because they didn't want the enemy to know it in order to make fun of it or to make fun of their God, right? So, the only person who was allowed to say the name of their God was the high priest once a year. And over time, because they stopped pronouncing the name of their God, they stopped saying it altogether, they forgot how to pronounce it in the original language. You know why? Because they had no vowels at that point in time. Vowels were invented in order to force a culture into speaking a particular way that's deemed to be correct. Vowels never used to exist before this point in time. Vowels were introduced in order to keep the language pure. But it was too late. The Hebrews/Jews forgot how to say the name of their God. As a matter of fact, they forgot what the name of their God was entirely, as they have to this day. And it literally says in the Phoenician or the ancient Paleo-Hebrew, it says, "You shall not make his name come to nothing." Meaning you shall not forget what his name is. Which is exactly what the Jews did. They created their own law in order to have themselves forget the name so that other people wouldn't say the name and make fun of it.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
What is all this about cursing? What is all this about saying, "God damn it," and that's a curse? You know? Why are people so afraid to curse? First of all, saying words like fuck, shit, bitch, whatever, you know, whatever four-letter word you want, those are not curses at all. All those are is derogatory words. And all that means is a long time ago when you had the kings and the upper class and the serfs and the lower class, the serfs or the ragamuffins or the low class of society, they would develop their own dialect. It was considered uncouth, not proper. It was considered kind of gross to speak and use the same words that the lower class was using. So words like f and bitch were commonplace words. They were just as normal as the word dog and sex are today. There was nothing wrong with them. It's just that they were used by the lower class. The upper class did not want to be associated with the grotesque language of the lower class. That's all it really is. Now, what is an actual curse? It's to wish ill. I'm being very careful with my hand signs, but it's to wish ill upon somebody else. It's to wish harm, or to say harm, or to literally cast a spell of harm another person's way. To put the idea out in the ether that harm should befall somebody else. That is a curse, okay? And cursing has absolutely nothing to do with this particular commandment. Do not forget Enki's name. That's literally what the third commandment says. Fourth commandment.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
6 days you shall work and do all of your labor, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall do no work, neither you,
Your son, your daughter, male servant, female servant, cattle, or the stranger who is within your gates.
In 6 days the Lord, Enki, made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. So a couple things I want to point out here. First of all, I don't really agree with this particular commandment. I think it is good to take rest, but 1 day out of every 6 to rest from your slave job, we need way more rest if we're going to have slave jobs. We could get by on working 3 or 4 days a week, 4-hour days, and twice as much pay. Keep in mind, this, in my humble opinion, this doesn't mean rest from your slave job. It means rest from your homework, which is what they had back when this was written. They didn't have, Walmarts and Sports Center and Targets and McDonald's and all that type of stuff where people worked 8 hours a day into the ground. Okay, people had cows and had farms, and they had their own work at home to do. And all this is saying is take a break from that. Okay, I don't think this is related to a slave job whatsoever, but that's just my opinion. Number 5.
Honor thy father and thy mother.
This one's pretty simple. It just means bring honor to your father and your mother. Now, if you have a horrible father and just a horrible mother, and your parents are scum and treated you like crap, do you have to honor them? Meaning, you have to say nice things about them or listen to their horrible instructions or live the way they lived? No. What it's talking about is the name of your family and bringing honor to that name. Bring honor to your ancestors by the way that you live your life. What this is saying is it's saying bring honor to your household. Bring honor to your family name by how you live your own life. Okay? If anything, this has very little to do with your actual mother and your actual father, but it has everything to do with how you live your life and how your name will be remembered being your household. Anyways, let's move on to the next one.
Thou shalt not kill.
Now, thou shalt not kill. It does not say people. Okay, it's not very specific. It does not say, do not kill other human beings. Now, personally, I feel like this particular part of the Bible was extremely specific. Okay, there are just hundreds of random, specific laws and prescriptions for every tiny little detail. This one is very vague. It just says, do not kill. Period. Right? To me, that includes animals and people. Right? Do not kill. Or, I actually like the word murder better, because sometimes it's necessary to kill, but it's not necessary to murder. Murder implies a selfish killing, right? A killing for no good reason. A killing just to kill. A killing out of anger or malice or hatred. A killing out of ignorance and stupidity. Don't kill in that fashion. Don't kill anything in that fashion. Do not murder anything. So, I'm going to skip on to the next one. It says,
Thou shalt not commit adultery.
What does that mean? It literally means do not take someone else's wife as your own wife. And this is where I'm going to talk about polygamy. Many people would like to think that the Bible is a very monogamous book, right? That it very much encourages a one husband, one life lifestyle. It does not. Especially in the Old Testament, neither does it condone it in the New Testament, right? Or neither does it command it in the New Testament. And just for all of you out there, Bible lovers who are going to correct me, I'm already going to cut you off and I'm going to let you know, yes, I know that there are instructions to those who would like to be priests or pastors or whatever, leaders of the church, and it says that you must be the husband of one wife. Let me tell you right now, that is a poor translation. What it really means and what it really says is you must be the husband of at least one wife, meaning you have to have a family and prove that you can handle your family before you can take on an entire church. Pretty much every single patriarch, every single famous person in the Old Testament had more than one wife, okay? And often had concubines or slaves that they had sex with. And I'm talking about the men, not the women. The women did not ever have more than one husband at a time. Okay? And there is a reason for that. There is an actual biological reason for that, which I'm not going to get into at this point in time. Am I saying that every man should be, should have more than one wife? No, I'm absolutely not saying that. Am I saying that I condone it or I think it's good or bad? No, I'm not. I don't think it's wise to have a whole bunch of wives, just from my own personal experience. However, I don't see it as being wrong or immoral either. Okay? Honestly, I'm not a big fan of wives anyway, or husbands, or marriage. And it brings in the whole concept of the wedding ring and being a slave and things of that nature. I'm a fan of letting things describe themselves. Instead of putting titles on things, things just, they are what they are. They manifest. People know what they are by what it looks like. Anyways, I digress. I'm sorry about that. Anyways, do not take another man's wife. That's gross. The next one says,
Thou shalt not steal.
basically, do not take something that doesn't belong to you. Right? That's very black and white. The next one says,
Thou shalt not bear false witness.
now, this does not say, thou shalt not lie. Do not lie. It does not say that. It says you shall not bear false witness. That means you shall not even put up with false witness or lies of any kind. You shall not bear it, meaning you shall not put up with it if you hear it from others, or you yourself will not put up with it. You will not lie, nor will you tolerate others lying. That's what that means. It's not just you shouldn't lie, but you can go ahead and condone other people lying. You can go ahead and you can just put up with other people's lives or lies, and it's okay. No, it means if you hear a lie, you put a stop to it. That's what it means. It means you call a spade a spade. So, the last one says,
You shall not covet.
what does covet mean? Covet just means to want something that belongs to somebody else. You're not actually going and stealing it or taking it, but you envy something that belongs to somebody else. And it could be anything, right? That's another person's life. That's another person's journey. What that means is you're not satisfied with your own journey, with your path that you're walking on. You're too focused on somebody else to live your own life, to do with what you have, and to be thankful for it. So, anyways, I'm just going to recap. Here are the 10 Commandments as how they are really translated. 10 Commandments. Number 1.
I am ENKI of the Anunnaki. You shall not make images and worship your own creation. You shall not forget my name, ENKI. Make sure you Make sure you rest from your home life, from your homework once a week. Bring honor to your household and to your family name by how you live your life. Do not murder. Do not take another man's woman, or do not have sex with another man's woman. Do not take what doesn't belong to you. Don't steal. Do not put up with lies from yourself or from others. And be satisfied with what you have.
Don't want what others have. That is the 10 Commandments as they really are conveyed in the original language. So, the reason that I have the Star Wars shirt is because there is a nugget and a grain and a breadcrumb of truth in everything. There literally is a war between the stars. The stars in the Bible are metaphors for angels. Angels is another word for aliens. Aliens don't really exist how we've been taught, but there are other beings and other life forms from other realms and other districts beyond our own. Anyways, I know this was a lot of information. This was a lot to process. It's probably going to take me forever to edit this video. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you learned something. And I hope that you'll share your thoughts and ideas with us all in the comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.